Okay, let's look at lens number 3 in the must-own Fuji X mount series. Let's be what most people are not. Let's not be a shill for any company or any distributor or any retailer. And let's make objective, logical, empirical decisions about why I've chosen these lenses. Not my own subjective premises, but obviously there are subjective premises why someone might choose a lens that is outside this criteria. For example, someone doesn't shoot any street photography, they only shoot sports action, or someone only shoots portraiture and therefore they don't need a mid-range zoom. And of course, all things being equal, primes are preferable. However, there is nothing more useful than a wide zoom lens in the generic sense of a general shooter, meaning someone that does shoot landscape and street and a lot of other things. You know, a wide zoom is immensely useful, and as I've stated many times, and as I mentioned as lens number 1 in no particular order, the Fuji 10-24 was a must-have lens. So let's take a look at the next subset, and let's eliminate its two rivals, if you will, and come to an objective conclusion about why this choice was made and why it is the logical choice, all things being equal, and me leaving out my own subjective beliefs one way or the other about these lenses. Now let's first take a look at the cheaper cousin. Now I did spend $100 on this lens, knowing what it was, and of course it does have a plastic rear mount, and we all know the issues with plastic rear mounts versus the metal or steel rear mounts that are found on any good lens. But for $100 as a freebie lens that I'll give someone else as a gift for Christmas or otherwise, you know, I had no issue actually spending $100 on this lens. Now, this is not my recommended lens. Let's first state that fact before I get any closer. I'm looking at the cheaper cousin of the lens I'm going to recommend here, lens number 3, and take a look at this, the cheaper cousin, the 16-50. Which is f-stop of 3.5 to 5.6. It's not a very fast lens, but for $100, I really couldn't refuse it. I mean, is it cheaply made? Why, certainly it is. Is it made in Japan? Well, no, it isn't. It's made in China. But I mean, that's no different than Nikon or Canon as far as they're very cheap giveaway kit lenses. I mean, is it worth $100? It certainly is. I'm going to give it away to somebody, a relative, so don't start asking me for this lens, but that's the cheaper cousin of the lens that I'm about to recommend. But before getting to the lens that I am going to recommend, let's take a look at the other end of the spectrum. That would be the 16-55 f2.8. Definitely a fast lens, definitely a heavy lens, well over twice as heavy as the lens I'm going to recommend here as lens must-buy number 3, in no particular order, this being the 18-55 f2.8 to f4. But looking at this more expensive cousin, the 16-55 f2.8, which comes in at 23.1 ounces versus the 10.9 ounces on the 18-55, it's twice as expensive. This lens is $500, the 16-55 is $1,000. But before someone accuses me of being cheap and not willing to actually dish out the money for the faster lens, all things being equal, I'll buy whatever damn lens that I want to. Money isn't an object. If it's a superior lens, I'm going to buy it. I did use it. I came to the conclusion that, unquestionably so, as is empirically the case, it is not as sharp of a lens. That's also the case with Nikon's sharper 24-70 lens. While it is the preferable go-to professional portraiture lens, it's not exceptionally sharp. It is an inferior lens. It is twice the money. It's not as sharp. The autofocus is not as fast. But that's also typical of something that has some heavy elements in it that have to be driven. So that's certainly not unusual to Fuji or Nikon or anybody else. It is heavy. It's really not that much faster of a lens. I mean, this is a 2.8 to f4 lens. This is a damn fast lens for less than half the weight. The other lens, the 16-55 f2.8, is a poor value. It also has too much of a poor micro contrast or an intertonal transmission to the sensor, and it also has flatter image depth rendition. Now, there are two types of depth that I've talked about before. There's perceptual depth as pertains to micro contrast, and then there is actual rendered depth. Now, the 16 to 55 has too much glass in it. And for $1,000 more, and given the fact that it's poor value and it's heavy and it's not as sharp, for twice the money and well over twice the weight, I had to discount it as not being a lens that I could recommend. And even if it were $700, and money isn't an issue, I'd have grabbed it if it was an excellent lens, but it wasn't. Even if it were $700 and not $1,000, I still would not buy it, and I still would not recommend it. So that brings us to this lens. This is the kit lens with a Fuji X-T1. Just as Nikon has a few good kit lenses that come with its professional FX DSLRs, this is one that comes with the APS-C crop sensor, Fuji X-T1, that is exceptional. It is exquisite. It is a wonderful lens made in Japan. The equivalent focal length on this, for those of you that don't want to do the conversion in your head, is roughly 28 millimeters to 83 millimeters. So it's a perfect mid-range zoom lens. It is all anodized aluminum. There is no rubber knurling on it. It does have an aperture ring. It does have optical image stabilization. It does have a switch between automatic and manual aperture adjustment. The adjustment is by wire, no direct interlink to the aperture blades. 10.9 ounces, made in Japan. It actually has exquisite micro contrast. It has the exquisite lack of vignetting, especially for a kit lens, is really startling. $500. Although if you buy it as a kit with the XT1, considering that it's on sale right now, I mean, depending on how you look at it, you're getting this lens for about $200 and $250. So if you're considering buying an XT1 right now while it's on sale, I would strongly recommend you get the XT1 with the 18 to 55 kit lens. This does not have a plastic bayonet mounting. So it is made in Japan. It is as exquisitely made as the 56mm f1.2 Fuji, which is Fuji's top-end prime lens. Here you see the rear of the 1855 f2.8. 14 elements in 10 groups. Front filter is 58mm. Is all metal, anodized aluminum with laser engraving. Like I said, made in Japan. Exquisite micro contrast, exquisite color saturation. This makes beautiful, due to the micro contrast rendition of this lens. It makes a beautiful black and white images once you've converted them either in Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop or Iridiant Developer, which is certainly the raw converter that you should be using, because it is the best, unquestionably so. So this is lens number 3 as a must-own Fuji lens, and right now, considering the Fuji X-T1 is on sale, depending on how you look at it, you can basically get this lens for $200 if you buy it as a kit with the Fuji X-T1, and that is an exquisite value for this all-Japanese exquisite made lens. Kit lens is typically, as is the case, indicative of a poorly constructed lens of a very fast Chinese or Southeast Asian manufacturer, and that is not the case with the 18 to 55. It is a fast lens at f2.8 to f4, extremely well made. Somebody out there is going to go out there right now going to go, "You're repeating yourself." Well, maybe sometimes things need to be repeated. So that's it. That is lens number 3 in this 5-part series of must-own Fuji lenses, and I have applied as much common sense, objective logical criteria, and left out subjective preferences one way or the other, and judged this lens on its own attributes, its own merits, its own quality of construction, its own value. Several criteria, not my own subjective criteria, but criteria that can let me state unequivocally in making this video that if you purchase this lens, you would be very, very happy with it. This does, even though it is a kit lens with the Fuji X-T1, rise above the criteria of what is typically denotated or connotated as a kit lens, which is usually fast and cheap, fast on the fly Chinese or Southeast Asian construction. It's an exquisitely made lens in Japan with absolutely beautiful attributes that are usually only entertained by more expensive zoom lenses that are not kit lenses, as is the case with Nikon or Canon. So I can state that this, right along with the 24 to 85 VRG Nikkor kit lens that came with the D610, that this actually rises slightly above it. This is really within the spectrum of professional DSLR lenses. As a kit lens, is the #1 best made, best attribute, best quality kit lenses that has ever rolled down the pike, and that includes Canon, Nikon, Fuji, and Sony. So this is, without a doubt, the best kit lens to ever come mated with a camera if you buy it as a kit. And of that, there is no disputation possible. It is definitely #1. It's very shocking, and I was actually mildly surprised by how good this lens is. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Okay, bye.